What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Farinho Talks Milan. It's been a while since Milan last won at home, which perhaps makes this victory even sweeter. And without further ado, here are 6 things we learned from Milan's 2-1 win at home to Genoa. Number 1. Rafael Leao is not a centre forward. Unfortunately, when Leao has played in the centre forward position, it was down to Zlatan Ibrahimovic being out injured and or suspended. Now, a lot of us have seen Leao play across the front line, and he plays better out wide than he does through the middle. And Pioli has a bit of a dilemma on his hands. Does he play Leao? Does he play Mario Mandzukic? I think Mandzukic wasn't fit enough to start, so Leao got the nod. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. If you have seen the game, he's a really frustrating guy to watch. He doesn't have the work rate. He looks clumsy and disinterested most of the time. And you take away his biggest strength by playing him through the middle. He really thrives when he's running into space, trying to receive the pass, running at defenders, cutting in from wide. Just getting involved in that way, he is productive. Whereas him playing as a centre forward, I don't think he understands the role. I also don't think he has the traits to actually play in that role. He's not an aerial threat. He's not commanding. He doesn't have the physicality to cope. He doesn't know when to drop back to receive the ball. He doesn't know when to move around to make space for the wingers. I have discussed this before. And I think it's time we put to bed the Rafael Leao at centre forward experiment. And his performance versus Genoa is exactly why Milan need to sign a striker by trade come the summer, whether it's Vlahovic, Belotti, Milan. There's been a few, Scamacca as well, who scored the winning own goal against Genoa for Milan. But yeah, it's frustrating, and there's no fluidity when Milan play with Leao up front, and something's got to give. Number 2, Fikayos Tomori's biggest weakness. Now, since his arrival, he's been exceptional. He's exceeded my expectations. And I think for a lot of Milan fans, he has replaced Romagnoli in the starting lineup. On the basis of his performances, it's hard to argue otherwise. However, Fikayos Tomori's game is not completely flawless. We've seen it before where his positioning let him down. Going back to the Manchester United game at Old Trafford where Diallo scored the header, his positioning was poor there. And a couple of other times where it could have been costly for Milan, but it wasn't. Today it was. His positioning was poor. He was beaten in the air. Yes, he's a smaller defender, so you can't expect him to, out-jump a striker. But he was caught flat-footed, and Destro fired in a goal, which really, it went against the run of play. Genoa didn't really pose a threat. It's unfortunate because he's such a good defender technically. If he can match his positioning, that would make him an even bigger asset. I will discuss later on in this him and Kia and how they were instrumental in saving Milan. But with regards to Tomori, he's fantastic all round. I think he has so much to offer, and he'll continue to grow. It was his error that led to the goal, unfortunately, and acknowledging that doesn't make him a bad player. It's just something he needs to work on. Number 3, Milan make it hard for themselves. Time and time again, we see the same theme playing out. Milan go ahead, they drop tempo, they concede, they score late in the second half, and they come away with 3 points. Milan have the capacity, they have the personnel, they have the quality to put teams to the sword. And again, it's the same thing over and over and over again. Rafael Leao missed a very good chance in the first half, I think, to make it 2-0. Hakan laid the ball to him. It was a poor first touch. He slipped as he took it. Should have been a goal. And then Milan conceded. They went in 1-1 at the break. Ante Rebic missed a goal, which was easier to score than it was to miss. He somehow skied it from like 7 yards out. And it's frustrating because there's never a dramaless Milan win. You never have the sense of security when Milan go 1-0 up. Even at 2-0 up, you don't have that same sense of security. And it's worrying because when you play against elite opposition who aren't Genoa, and again, Genoa actually scored their chance. But against elite teams, you can be punished for letting them in the door. And the only way to do that is to make sure that when you have the advantage, you take all the advantage. You don't drop off tempo. You don't, give the opposition opportunities to score, because it doesn't bode well. Even if you have the quality to win, you can't remain complacent. Number 4, Benassi and Kessie. Oh, it's been a long while since we've seen Benassi and Kessie play this well together. Unfortunately, the season has deprived us a bit of that partnership. I was genuinely looking forward to it after the back end of last season. When Benassi is fit, he's such a joy to watch, both defensively and offensively. He's one of the most important players in this Milan team. And when he's fit, he is probably one of the best midfielders in the league and arguably Europe. He's been linked with Man City and PSG. Just goes to show the quality he has. And I think this performance of him is setting him on the right track. He was rushed back from injury and he got injured again. He was substituted in the second half. It was understandable. But him and Kessie are finally developing that understanding once again and playing well together once again. I hope that both of them can stay fit for the remainder of the season. They would be integral to Milan's Champions League qualification. Well, if the Super League doesn't hinder that. I have to add that because we don't know what's happening there. Back to the topic at hand. I think both of them at this stage are Milan's 2 most important players, and the team really tick when they are on form. Number 5, Fikayos and Kia save Milan. I'm recording this a little later, as I usually tend to do, and since then we've seen Napoli, Inter, Roma, and Juve drop points. And the reason I'm noting this is because Kia and Tomori and their goal line heroics made a significant impact on the result. If it had ended up in a draw, Milan would have lost points yet again. And they tend to do this whenever their rivals drop points. And it's little details like this that can have such a big bearing on the overall season. A lot of the times it has been Donnarumma pitching up with important saves. There's been a few goal line clearances, but this, I think, was the confidence boost that Milan needed. A lot of the time, Milan rely on Donnarumma. Yes, the defense do a fantastic job, but this time it was the other way around. And especially being at home and in a tough game where Milan in the second half weren't exactly a threat. I thought Genoa would actually come back and possibly get a winner. It just goes to show the amount of quality these players have, not just technically, but also mentally and with the ability to read the game. And again, moments like these can make or break your season, and just hats off to the both of them for showing up big time when they needed to. Number 6, results are the most important thing. As much as the performance was frustrating, Genoa shouldn't have been let back into the tie. For much of the second half, Milan suffered, but at the end of the day, it's 3 points. It's a vital 3 points. Pioli recognizes this. The players recognize it as well. And throughout the remainder of the season, this is the biggest emphasis. I complain that Milan don't put teams to the sword, and yes, it's an issue. But right now, the most important thing above all is winning games. And with this mentality, the never say die mentality, where Milan will somehow try and find a goal, that again is what champions do. You don't play particularly well, but you come away with a result. Genoa, of course, have been tricky opponents. Sassuolo is not going to be any different. We've got some tough games coming up. Juve, Atalanta, Lazio as well. So we can't take anything for granted. And I'm saying we because I'm emotionally invested in this. Champions League qualification is on the line for the first time in 7 years. It looks like Milan actually might get there. And it's easy to get carried away, but sometimes it's just best to be pragmatic. You can see with the way Pioli approaches his games, he's not fiddling around so much with personnel. He knows what works now. He's had long enough with this group of players to understand them, and it's time for the players to deliver. There's been a lot of cries for Pioli to be sacked. I don't think he should be sacked. He's on course to reach his objectives. You know, the way Milan played against Sampdoria, yes, it wasn't great. Of course, it was an individual error that led to that. And again, in yesterday's game against Genoa, potential individual errors could have cost Milan. Tomori on the corner. You have Leao and Rebic missing chances. And these details make or break your season, as I've said before. But the most important thing above all, with all of the missed chances, with all of the nonsense that Milan do on the field, as long as they get the 3 points, I'm happy. So those are the 6 things I picked up from the game yesterday. Let me know if you picked up anything else. I wasn't active on Twitter, and today the topic of discussion and a bit of last night, depending on where you are, was about the European Super League. And I will be making a video about that, just my thoughts, what it is, what it means for Milan, the pros and the cons, the controversy, everything. And then, of course, just my feelings, my personal feelings. You know, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. You know, that it means the world to me. Leave a comment. I mean, hate comments as well. I'm just kidding. Interact with me. Tell me your thoughts. You know, let's engage in a discussion. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you think this video is good, you can share it with your friends, you know, share it to your social medias. That is always greatly appreciated. And lastly, Forza Milan.